This is your boy Lord Thaddeus Cray, obviously. No cigars this time. I'm still smoking them. You'll see me doing so in the future, but kind of cutting back just a wee bit. It's kind of hurting my pocketbook a wee bit too much, and I just need to kind of slow it down a little. That's all. But talking about tobacco addiction aside, this one isn't about that, obviously. This one's going to be about. It's going to be part of the Light in the Darkness series, and it's an important one. It just kind of popped in my head. It's about the connection or the bond between a parent and their child. It is a very powerful thing, and if healthy, it's a wonderful thing. I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about both of my parents. My father is going to be the first one I bring up. Is he a bad man? No, he's not. Is he a tormented, troubled man? That's how it goes. Where do you think I got my sickness from? At least the majority of it. I have to say, I'm not going to put much of the negatives out there because it just ain't right to do. Plus, it's the past. But in observing him from me growing up and well into adulthood, I have to have kind of help watch after him now every now and then. So that behavior in which he put out when he was more into his sickness than he is now. And he's just right now just a little old man that pretty much for the most part is harmless. When he was younger, that was far from the case. The disease of bipolar is insidious. It is sinister if untreated. And unfortunately for him, like I said, they kind of caught it late. And when you catch it late, and technology the way it was compared to now, yeah, it was a hot mess. I'm just going to leave it at that. Our family was turned upside down. And to be honest, I learned from watching him and observing. It's almost like he was not even aware of himself. And that is one thing that I swore I would be, especially as time progressed and I got older, that I would be aware of myself. The lying, of course, and the constant dishonesty was one thing I didn't fix until recently, as you know. But I watched his patterns, I watched what he did, and again, I never really had much of a bond with him when it comes to closeness, but again, I watched what he did and I learned from it. And I was like, no, this is things I cannot afford to do because it's going to hurt people. Now, also, you have to understand something. My father can be a very generous man. And these were things I definitely took into my own being as best I could. That's how a parent is able to teach their child, for better or for worse. The child imprints. And I'm going to leave my father at that. Like I said, he was a father. I'm going to say that right now. He was around and he did help take care of me and my brother. So for all his faults and all his flaws, he was there. And for that, I'm grateful. Now we're going to move on to my mother. My mom was always there, despite the mess that she went through with my dad, and despite the mess I put her through later years. She was always there. She was always almost like a constant. And that right there is, for the most part, the best part of healthy parenting that I can figure. I've never had no kids, so I can't really say on that, but I know that bond between me and her was very close. When she died, I almost went with her. Leave it at that. You can say I'm a mama's boy, whatever. It is what it is. I kind of was. But with her gone, it left a big hole in me. But I'll tell you one thing she did do. She helped me be prepared for what's out there when she was gone. And that saved my life. Gwen and Stacy helped me quite a bit. And even despite the bullshit, they're like the second pair of parents that I had. And I still care for them that way. Well, fortunately, I have to love them from afar, if you get my drift. Moving on from that. What exactly is so important about the bond between a parent and their child? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory. There's also a spiritual bond. That's where the paranormal stuff I'm going to kind of bring in comes into play. Even to this day, I still have, my father's still very much alive. My mom, of course, as you know, is deceased. I still dream things connected to her, even beyond the grave. That's what people don't understand. There is in a healthy and even unhealthy relationship, of course, sometimes, the parent's not in the child's life. That's a little different. But there is a very powerful spiritual bond between a parent and their kid, even when the kid's well into adulthood themselves. That bond, which I call kind of an intuition or whatever, or the old saying, mother's intuition, it ain't a joke. But also fathers can have this too. I'm telling you right now, it goes both ways. Sometimes the child can sense something that the parent's going through. There is a very powerful spiritual bond between, the parent and their offspring. This goes in the case with animals, too. Primates have a very powerful bond. But that's neither here nor there. As I said, that spiritual bond can be very beneficial or can be detrimental, especially parents who enable their kids too much. My mom kind of did that. But at the end, she fixed that real quick. Just gonna leave it at that. She was telling me one time, Wes, you gotta work. But I can't. Yeah, you can. I'll help you with whatever problems you got. I got your back. But if you can't, well, you can always stay with your dad. Let me tell you, I got working pretty quick and actually found I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I've been this is like when I was 24 or 23. I've been working off and on since I was 13, but I did not have the ability or chose not to keep a full job, even with help and all that. At the time, I guess you call him my counselor, he said, Wes, you don't want to work. And sure enough, he died not too long ago, and his wife took over the program, and she actually kind of helped me out in the end, and I was able to finally keep a job. But it was mainly my mom's boot in the rear, and that helped me. But even then, there was a very powerful bond, and I understood she meant well. And of course, the motivation was good enough, but at the same time, I was able to get over the problems I had, and I kept a job for a long time until my breakdown. And then, of course, she understood that it was beyond my ability. Now, moving forward, that bond can save a child's life or a parent's life between, the situation. It is a very wonderful thing. The bond between a son, like a son, like a father and a daughter, mother to son, or whatever, is a very powerful thing. And believe me, it's not a bad thing at all, if done properly. I think most parents have gotten it down. You hear stuff in the news, but I'm not going to bring that stuff up. That's not the purpose of this. That's going to want to put that out there. The bond between like I said, that bond is a very spiritual thing, and it is a very healing thing. Even from beyond the grave. Believe me, it always, when it comes to, spiritual contact of different things, the old saying, test the spirits ain't wrong. If there's a feeling of dread or some kind of caution which you feel within, your own spirit ain't stupid. It's smarter than you, I promise you. It will know. Unless it's so damaged that it doesn't, I can't really tell you. My own life's been very interesting, some for better or worse, so I'm just going to leave that there. And my spirit is still able to sense, 9 times out of 10, whether there's a problem or not. I'm just going to leave that there, So if you have your parents still around, value them and cherish them. Now, of course, if they act like animals is another story entirely. I know many people who have had to get away from me. I get that, and that I don't slam anyone for. But if you have a healthy bond with your parents, that's a blessing. If you have a healthy bond with your children, that's a blessing. And count that in, Because believe me, it will get you far in life. I'm just going to leave it right there, There's nothing really more to say on this video. You guys be blessed and you be safe.